Okay. I have YouTube where I guide you through. Hey, so I'm interrupting this podcast and this broadcast to let you know that Club She is the community where you need to be. You're probably asking yourself, what is Club She is and why do I need to be there? Well, Club She is the best community in the world. I mean it. It's a place where we get practical. It's a place where we get real, and it's a place where we truly understand you as a woman. It's a community that you join if every single week you want to take a step forward to bringing your dream to life. The dream of building your business, the dream of turning yourself into a strong personal brand that makes profit. We get practical about how to build your website, how to build your funnel, how to build out your products and your services, how to get an offer that people actually want, how to run Facebook ads and Instagram ads, how to post content, how to show up online, and basically how you can get yourself and your business out there to create the income that you want and to live the life of your dreams. We're super practical. We cut the fluff and we cut down to the real thing with strategies that have been proven over time. 20 years of experience between Nyaki and myself, the co-founders of Club She is, here to lead a community of women who are serving others. Our goal is to reach 1 million people by helping 1 million women, by helping 1,000 women have 1,000 clients. So if that is you, if you have a business idea or you already have your business up and running, if you want to be a coach, a speaker, if you want to start earning income on your terms, whether you have started or you haven't started at all and all you have is an idea, Club She is the community where you need to be. So make sure that you click on the link down at the bottom and check out this community. Register absolutely for free to get part of the online community. Download the app and have it on your phone, but also make sure that you check out our premium membership where you can get weekly masterclasses, premium resources, and to meet with Nyaki and myself as we coach you through building that dream into a reality. But anyway, let me not waste any more time. Let's get back into this Lunch and Learn. Hi, Nyaki!
Hello, Kapano.
I miss you today. I don't miss you anymore. Stay there.
Sorry, that's going to keep happening.
Stay there with whatever it is that you have. No, they can miss me. How you doing, dude? I think that's the thing about live streaming. Live streaming is like, it's live. It's really, really, really happening. Life is happening while we are live streaming, and that's why I absolutely love it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. I am here with the ladies of the club. We are live streaming across Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. So let me know where you are joining us from so that we can connect with you. We are so excited to have you with us today. Today's conversation is one that I've also asked myself about. I've always asked about how do people get their products into retail. So tell your story. This is a lady I went to school with, and she studied law, I think. I would never think that she'd create a hot sauce. Never in a million years. Okay? And she created a hot sauce. She marketed it. She did her absolute best. And then she went on the journey of retail, and she was just like, I did not know that this all happens, right? But then eventually she got into retail and turned out to be one of the hardest things she's ever had to do. And watching her do that, I just felt like she just jumped over the moon, the stars in the sky in order to get there. But then we come across people like Sipamandla who have actually done it before. And not only has she done it before, but she is helping others do the same as well. So today's conversation, we're connecting with a friend of Nyaki's, a Nyaki connection. You know, Nyaki's got connections, guys. Nyaki's got a network in deep. She walks around like, you know, she's all cool and all of that stuff. But Nyaki's got, if we were back in the days of having babies and a little black book, or a Rolodex, Nyaki's got like a good Rolodex. Nyaki's got like a stellar Rolodex. And Sipamandla is a friend of Nyaki's who has done absolutely amazing getting into retail, but also simplifying it and making that route accessible, and as well as something that people can learn that your product may be good, but is it retail ready? So coming in from the farms and the retail stores, Sipamandla! Yay!
Not too farmy today.
Not too farmy today. Doing just great. I love, do you also have like baby locks?
Yes. That's sister locks though.
Sister Lots, did Nyaki convince
Yeah.
you?
She actually did. Hey, I did ask her for tips, but it took me a year to actually get around it. And she's like, finally, finally.
She's been trying to convince me and convince my daughter as well for like some time. And I'm just, I actually cut my hair to avoid knocking my
It's
hair.
quality of life. I think this is a hairstyle for quality of life. You can walk in the rain without worrying about your hair. You can swim, you can hike, whatever, and you're still
Yeah.
fine.
It looks amazing. I have a friend also who has it. I'm just like, "Ka o kgalela," but at the same time, I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, I
But
know.
thank you so much for having a conversation with us, Pa. We are really excited to have you with us. And this conversation that it seems like it's either for some people, it seems like, no, it's simple. I just take my stuff, I go to the spa, and I'm just like, just put my thing on the shelf, just put it there. Here's the price, just put it on. While for other people, like for me, when I looked at my friend doing it, it was just like she jumped over the moon, the sky, and the stars in order for her to get into retail. But there was once upon a time when you had products that weren't in retail. Where did you actually start off your journey?
Sure. Yeah, I know, brave one, that your friend who did a product. But I started, so just like many founders, you have this product idea. If you make stuff, whether you make body butters or you make food products, for me, I'm very passionate about food, hosting, cooking, and trying different things. And so I thought, well, I make something and it tastes really good. I'm sure there's other people who'd find this, good. And so, and I was naive about it in the beginning, which was okay. It's fine to be naive and thinking this is the best thing ever. And so I started selling to a few friends and then moved from there, started selling at markets and moved just different product lines as well. Hey, started off as an egg lady. And I remember having a store at Rosebank Rooftop Market. I was called the egg lady, and then moved from there, being an egg lady, moved on to become a free range chicken lady. And, people wanted chickens. And then I started being a baker. I was making granola from my oven, moved from there, then had honey, then had African Whole Foods, and then.
Wow.
But I started somewhere, and then it had led me, obviously, because of customer insights, because of just the market and the trends. Eventually, we found ourselves where we are today.
Wow. How did you just kept on evolving and just doing more and more and more and layering it on? How did that step go from your kitchen to actually being in retail? Because that seems like quite a jump. I mean, there's so many people who can be like, I can make granola in my kitchen, and I think it's absolutely amazing. Put that in a packet. Must have. How did you actually make that jump, and who even introduced you to the idea of saying, okay, maybe I actually want to put this in stores?
So here's the thing. So when you start, you don't really know what the end looks like. And just generally nobody's there to tell you this is what you actually can expect. So you start off selling from your kitchen to a few friends, and then they say, oh, friend, just take this to the market. There's more people there. So you go to the market, and then in the market, you bump into somebody who might have a little, maybe a small store, and they say, oh, I'm interested. Do you have, do the products have a barcode, or is this in place? Do you have a certification from the municipality? And you think, okay, I need this, and then I need this. And then now you have all you need for that one particular store. And then somebody else sees it from the store. Hey, I'd like to list your product. Do you have this in place? And do you have this in place? And then you start scrambling, and you're like, okay, let me put this in order so that I can actually get to that particular channel and distribute there. And so it kept going and it kept going. But I think sometimes this is one of the mistakes that I thought. I thought I'll be from my home, and then all of a sudden I'll be on a shelf and it'll be great. But it has taken, I mean, there's one client, for example, it took us probably about 8 years before we got onto their shelf.
Wow.
And it's like, but you had to go fix a few other things. You had to go raise money. You had to comply with certain certifications that you needed to have in place before you actually sit on their shelf. So, but I think for me, one of the things from that jump was like, how can I actually start? Like, just start and then move to the next sort of channel that you can actually access and afford.
So do different stores actually have different requirements and specs and all of that? Was it a climbing, from one small store to a bigger one and then getting into, distribution in different channels? How did that journey actually go? And isn't it expensive?
Oh, it is. Retail is expensive. I think so retail is different from it's almost like you're running a different business. So if you're in retail, take it as it's a business channel. You need a different skill set for it, not the skill set that bakes the granola or that sauces or that mixes the chili sauce. That's a different skill set, right? So you're producing your product, and you basically sometimes, I mean, if you're starting out and you don't have a pension fund or an investor to put up, and you are just bootstrapping, so most likely you have just a bit of money perhaps to just buy your ingredients. Maybe you go to a farmer's market, you buy your chili, you buy your packaging. If you're doing, go to Bonpack, go buy a few jars, or Console, whatever it is, buy your jars. Then you can only maybe afford to buy 10 kilos of something, and then you make, and then you sell, put a markup, then you reinvest. There's no money to pay you a salary. There's no money to pay anyone, or marketing, or systems in the beginning. And so you start building up, and then maybe some other crazy friend says, you know what, I want to walk alongside you. Let me just put in some 10K, 20K. Let's see where this goes. And so you then either you give them equity, or you just take the money and say, thank you, friend, or thank you, cousin, whoever it is, the fool's friends pool, that pool. So you take that money, you put in, you start growing. But the more stores you have, the much expensive it is. So logistics, and you have to reach all those stores, and that's cost. So for example, if today you've got 10 clients that have ordered one product and they live in 10 different areas, that means the petrol you have to drive or the courier you have to send, that's 10 different costs. The product's still the same cost. You still have the same facility you're operating from, and then you have to. And so, and retailers, the question you asked in terms of retail compliance, are they different? There's the generic standards that everybody wants, and then there's specific for each store. Some stores prefer you deliver into their distribution hub. Some stores want you to come into their store, like individual stores. And so it all depends. And then there's a cost to that as well that you need to think about before you go into that. And so retail is not as glamorous as it seems. But once you get around and understand it, the beast as it is, and educate yourself and be prepared for it, it could be really good for your business.
Wow. So if I'm listening and I have a product of my own and my dream is to get into retail, what would you say is the first thing that I need to either learn or research or decide?
Sure. I think you'd have to be clear in terms of what is the actual dream. So retail is just a channel. The dream is, I want my product to be consumed in X number of households in South Africa or Johannesburg or whatever it is. That's my dream, right? That's my dream. And so probably whole of Gauteng, I want them to know my chili sauce. And then the question would be, okay, what's the best way for this to happen? Retail could be a way, could be a route, but it doesn't have to be the ultimate route. The other option could be, you know what, I want to have a product, but I want to make money. Okay, what's the best way that could fulfill that? What's the best channel or best route that will fulfill that making money? Is it supplying to restaurants, as an example, your hot sauce? Is it supplying to catering companies, as an example, to get that going versus going into retail? Because retail comes with a cost. So your product is there. Now you think, okay, who else is there? How much do they have on that shelf? So if I'm competing with a guy who's got 3 million Rand for a marketing promotion for a weekend, and I've got 0. Okay. So, and can I afford to make a loss? Do I have capital sitting there that I can deploy? So those are some of the things we need to think about, right? And but one of the other key things would be, where are you? What's the closest store to you? What's your proximity? And perhaps that's a cheaper option. Let's look at that as an example. So there's that, thinking about that. So don't look at retail as the ultimate destination. Have an objective of what are you trying to do with your product. Are you trying to give an experience? Are you trying to drive revenue? Are you trying to reach as many people as you can? And then we look at, okay, so what's the best way for you to achieve that goal? Because retail, yes, it's a channel, and it's a great one. It's the biggest channel to get products into the hands of your customer. But the question is, for you, you need to ask yourself as a founder is it the best way for my particular product and for my financial circumstance at this point?
I love that. I love that you're forcing people to confront themselves. So one of the themes that we've been seeing over and over again in the club is you actually have to ask yourself the important questions. Don't do it just because it's like, oh, yes, I want to be in Pick and Pay. I want to be in whatever. Do it just because it looks great. You have to go back and say, what is the actual dream for you? What is the end goal that you're trying to get to? Are you trying to be in the big retailers because that is the ultimate goal that you wanted when you started? That's where you wanted to go, or are you trying to get into other people's hands? And could that be with a local store? Would that be, in other places? And that's such a
And
good
it's
lesson.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important what you raise. Sometimes that thing of, oh, I just want to be at this retailer is that sometimes, and this is the thing that we find ourselves, right, to be an entrepreneur and you see, I mean, whether you're in service, right, it's not just product. You see other entrepreneurs, you started the same year, you were all doing the same pitches,
Yeah.
and then boom, they're like on this platform and they are growing on social media and they're growing on the shelf. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? I just want to be there. And sometimes, and this is not just true just about business, it's true in life, right? You see
Yeah.
other people doing certain stuff and then you want to get there, but you don't
Yeah.
know what's at the back. You don't know their financial state, like position. You don't know what capability and what's backing them to be able to grow that fast. Do they do sponsored ads, for example? You don't have money for that. And so you start panicking and being anxious and like, oh, I just want to get there. And that becomes a goal. And then you miss the whole thing. And then you there, a loss. But the other person, or you read about them 2 years down the line, like they're closing down because they took debt. And then you force yourself to like, let me sell my house so that I can get my chili sauce in store. It could work, it might not work. So it's just really realizing like what is the true goal, and being clear about that. And then we work from what is the goal versus, oh, I just want to do it because so and so has also done it as well. Like this brand also took off and they've just launched. So it's also it's good to guard against that.
What I'm hearing from you, it's so important for you to get as much information as you possibly can before you jump into it.
Correct.
Really explore your options when it comes to retail, because I don't think we understand even what the term retail actually means. So for some of us, we might have like an e-commerce store and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, cool. I've got my product, I've got my e-commerce store, I want to go into retail. What you mentioned that it's like a different channel in your business. What does that mean for you on the day when you say, from my e-commerce store, I want to go into retail? What does that mean? What does that business channel actually mean for a small business owner or founder?
Sure. So transitioning, let me hear, from transitioning to this one channel. So if I'm selling on, I don't know, like let's say a top selling, selling on Shopify, and I am saying, okay, with my current reach, because for example, in South Africa, people still shop, probably over 80% of customers still go into physical stores, and that 20% or 15 to 20% maybe buys online, right? And you're saying, look, I want to tap into, and in my product category, I think I've reached my peak. I'm probably maybe I've got 80% market share of that customer that buys online.
Wow.
I want to then maybe tap into this. Then it's about, okay, which retail store am I going to? What is their requirement in place? And I'm engaging them and I'm figuring out, do I meet those requirements? What will it actually take to get to that? Sometimes, when and this is one of the things actually here, people get discouraged. You go to a retailer and they say, no. But you're thinking, no, but I've been selling online and it's great. But you might find that the customer that actually buys from you is somebody who's trying to, maybe a product is sold at $49.99. That person is trying to get a free delivery because their order that they've purchased on a platform, it was 450 Rand. And then all of a sudden they need something that's 50 Rand and they buy your product so that they fill up a 500 Rand free delivery from another e-commerce platform. And so they're not buying it because it's a product. They're not going to use it. Maybe they give it to somebody else. So to be very clear on the customer, why they're buying my product, and is a repeat customer, and I can have that confidence then to take it to retail as well. So it's because you also don't want to you don't want to force your way. You're going to go to retail and then the product doesn't do well. And to get a meeting with a buyer, sometimes it might take you a year to a year and a half to just get a meeting because the guys are busy and they've got SKUs to manage. They've got different suppliers to manage. And you get that meeting, you get that product, you convince that buyer to list you, and then you're on the shelf and they tell you, look, come pick up your stuff. It's not moving. It's like, I need my shelf space. That is heartbreaking because then you have to pay money to go collect all that stock. And it's on you. And then you have to pay for that shelf space that you've been using. And so it's you're gonna have to be clear about, do I actually have a customer in the truest sense? Do I have a customer on this current channel? And the channel that I want to get into now, which is the mainstream retail, we call it formal retail, formal trade. So it's called formal trade in South Africa, which is your standard like top 4, top 5 retailers. Those are regarded as formal trade. So if you want to transition to formal trade, the game changes. The game, and that's a channel. I mean, if you win it, if you get into it well, how you can do well. You have to do well, but you have to do all the things in place, to get to actually doing well. And that's not just having a great tasting product, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the things. If it happens to taste good, oh, that's great. Like, but that's not the ultimate thing. Usually we lead with that. Oh, it tastes so good. Sure. But the proposition is not always that for a buyer. So is it, okay, will it sit on the shelf firstly? Your packaging, does it even sit on my shelf? Can it fit on my shelf? Because you design sometimes and then you say, oh, I want to take it to Checkers. But then you've not even looked at the size of Checkers shelves and it won't even fit there. So where are they going to put it? So those are some of the things you have to think about. And then
I
you're
haven't
thinking
even thought about that one. It never even crossed my mind. It's just like I designed the thing and I just put it out. That one, oh my word, that can be disastrous.
It can. It's costly. I mean, we at some point there was one retailer we wanted to list. We actually got to list in that retail store. They gave us about 142 stores, and we did one DC drop-in. But the issue was the packaging, right? So we spent a lot of time like refining. Oh, we have to change this. And so if you already printed and then labels like maybe, and you've got minimum orders, right, from your packaging company. So you've got like maybe 5,000 units of this one, and then you've got 3,000. And so the retailer says, no, but this doesn't meet our compliance standards. And so you have to change this and change this. And so you have to go back and then you change the packaging, reprint, and then take it to the shelf. That's a lot of money. You're sitting there, probably you've already, I don't know, it's down the drain, maybe 60,000 Rand on labels.
Yeah.
And then you have not even got into the store yet. And then the product hits the shelf. And then the store, you don't have money to market it and promote it or merchandise. It's sitting at the back. You don't even know that you have to pay somebody to take it off the shelf and and then put it on the shelf from the back to the front. And so all of that school fees, understanding like what's the rate I should be paying for that person. And then eventually the product hits the shelf and then it has like a month before expiry. All this time you've been having to change and do this and then it doesn't do well, and then you have to come collect the product because you've not sold it because you only had a month, although you produced it like 9 months ago.
Yes.
And then now because of all the things you've had to change and fix, and then you have to come collect. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about.
It goes back to that, it keeps ringing in my mind, like, do your research, find out about what the process is, and do meticulous research. I love how the lesson I've learned when you do any sport, especially singular sports, so athletics, for example, you do high jump, they will tell you, imagine the entire process, imagine the exact run you're going to take, imagine yourself from that leap over, and even how you will stand up after you have successfully jumped over the rod. And it's that meticulous imagination of the entire process. What you're saying is that, okay, it's reached the storehouse at the back. How's it going to go from there onto the shelf? Once it's reached the shelf, it's the entire process and being able to ask the right questions. Another point that you brought up, which I think we have to dive into, is knowing your customer, knowing the person who actually buys, and knowing that you have customers, you have a buying force. People actually want what you have that you're taking to retail. Can a person from day one, before they've even produced, when they're planning for their business, say, I am starting this to get to retail, or do they have to first start off on the streets?
So it depends, right? It depends on, so for example, I'll take an example of a product right now, right? I don't know why matcha all of a sudden is popular. I mean, matcha has been around for so long.
I don't know what happened. It's
but
like
all of a sudden it's like,
people, I fell into it. I was a matcha person also. I was like, and then I looked at this thing, I was like, why? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, like matcha was a thing. I remember like 10 years ago, South Africa had matcha. It was already in retail, right?
It's
like
been
matcha, retail, and then all of a sudden, quiet, you'll just have your matcha. It's a few stores that'll have it. Now I'm seeing billboards everywhere. I'm like, whoa, But if I'm a FMCG entrepreneur, I come in right now and maybe I have the right price at this point. I go into retail and say, look, I can save you 20, 30 Rand on a kilo on matcha. And this is my traceability. These are all the compliance I have. Most likely you can have a product immediately and it sits in retail because that's the trend. You're solving a problem for a buyer. You're saying, I'm going to make it cheaper for your customer, but it's a product that's already in the market that people already, it's trending, it's popular all of a sudden. And the buyer can say, look, this is going to add value, and they can list you. You can just have a product immediately, you get into retail. It happens to entrepreneurs like that. But if you are creative and in your kitchen, you're working out something that's like no one has heard of, you want to do a gum that does something else, that cleans your breath, but at the same time, it makes you full and it cleans your gut. And then like you're already seeing that's a lot of education. Like already there's gut health products, there's mouthwash stuff, there's uh chewing gum stuff. And so now you're trying to put all that together as an example, trying to create a new category altogether. You go to buy, the buyer's like, I don't understand where I'm going to place this. I don't know what I can do with this. I'm not quite sure. It makes sense to you, but it's also very expensive because you're innovating, right? You're going to have to educate your customer. Your customer is not clear, like, what do I do with this product? It cleans my gut, but it cleans my breath, and it like I chew on it. It's like, all of it at the same time. So sometimes going to like a market trains you, you educate that customer. And maybe let's say, for example, you are based in you're based in Cape Town, and then I'll go to Oranisach as an example as a market. I'll start there, start selling in Oranisach market, and then build up a customer base. From Oranisach, I go to a little store in Waterfront and say, look, I've been selling at Oranisach and I've grown. This is what the traffic I'm getting, but I'm only trading on a Saturday. I can actually grow into your store because you open Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday. And I can then list because I've already have those traction. Then they're like, okay, if your customer wants to find you on a Wednesday, they can come buy your product from us. But there's a business case because you've already educated your customer. So most likely somebody who's going to Oranienburg lives either in the Oranienburg, they live in Kloof, they're not far from the VNA. So you already catch them through that because they've seen you in the market, versus you're trying to reach somebody who's in some other part, maybe Paarl or something like that, or Stellenbosch, and it's a bit far off for that person to to actually get to the product. So sometimes when, especially around innovation, it's as important. But if you're saying, look, come on, there's nothing innovative about my toilet paper or my shoe polish, it's a shoe polish. And perhaps that's not a channel. Perhaps it's about, okay, what value am I adding? Is it customer education? How do I actually need to compete with the existing brands that there? Because I'm not really innovating anything. Maybe my packaging has changed. Maybe I'm saving the buyer money. I'm adding value to my customer by this way. And so by doing that, then I can just go straight to channels where my competitors are already playing in that space, and then use channels to get to my customer from a marketing and awareness that perhaps my competitor is not actually doing. So those are some of the things you think about. So all channels. And sometimes, if I'm creating a product, there's a clip that we did as an education platform to say, if you are creating something that's competing with people that you say, look, this thing is going to make you lose weight, that's not going to scream at you on the shelf. But you need the nyakis and the kopanis who are going to say, hey, buy this product. I'm going to get you. You're going to be on my point system. And then once you've gained this points, and then you go sell to the next guy, because you're competing with companies like these who do aloe vera and these protein powders and stuff, who are distributing through network marketing. So sometimes a product is not going to scream, this is it, but you buy it because you bought it from a person who told you that they've lost 10 kg using this product, and et cetera, et cetera. And so that it becomes that. So it's very clear to be clear in terms of what is it that I'm offering, who is my customer, how are they currently interacting with the competitor, and how do then I custom make that for my particular brand. Yeah,
that's amazing. I'd love to know from you, what was the because I feel like you're hooked on retail now. I feel like you're just like, I'm hooked, I can't unhook myself, I'm here now. What was two things, the biggest challenge you had, but also surprising good thing that you found out about retail? Maybe it could be the thing that actually got you hooked. What was those two things? The great thing you discovered and the hard thing you went through.
sure. Correction. Retail is big, but it's not, I don't think it's my favorite channel, because it is so hard, because it's like, the market structure of South Africa, etc. And I'll get to that now. But my favorite channel is actually the hospitality channel, because I'm a food entrepreneur. I love that because you deal with the user and they buy the product. The only time is when the menu changes. If you supply, like we supply one restaurant chain, they've got over 50 restaurants in South Africa. And it's great, you know, we on the menu item, so we supply and etc. But the moment the menu changes, then, you know, but it's an easier client to deal with because I don't have listing fees. I don't have percentages of if a product expires, what happens to it, etc. But one of the things I found so refreshing, the other day I was at a store, and it's happened at quite a few stores, but one store that I do my regular grocery shopping, I was sitting there, I was walking and getting my few items, and I see this person on the aisle picking up a product and putting it on their shelf or on their trolley. My goodness, that feeling, like I've not convinced them. I've not said, this is my product, please support me. It's just, it's a product. It meets my need and I'm putting it in my trolley. I'm going to pay for it and walk out of the store. And I don't need to know who the owner is. I don't need to know,
I
you
love
know,
that.
so for me, retail is that it's beautiful in that way that you can reach people that your cousins and aunts can't reach and you can't reach. It's people you don't know. It's people who are strangers, but they resonate with your product. And retail gives you that platform to be able to take your product into market. So that's the beauty part. But the hard part, I think it's what I didn't know. I didn't know. Like when in the beginning you were excited about your product, you are like you hyped up about it. Like it's the best thing since sliced bread. You're like, wow, this product is great. I love the packaging. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I remember with design product packaging, it's like, oh my goodness, look at how beautiful this thing is. It's beautiful. And like you sit on it, you look at it, you're like, wow, wow, you know. And then you go to retail, and it's like a slap on your face. You're like, what? This thing is not as good as I thought. It doesn't have the like and that lessons because they're expensive lessons because you're not just putting a product on the shelf. Like when a product is eventually on the shelf, the sweat, the exhaustion that entrepreneurs feel. I mean, this big FMCG companies feel it, like their teams, commercial teams feel the toughness. But for you as an entrepreneur, like some people have sold their homes, they've sold their cars and so forth just to get the product on the shelf. And it's like, and then you do that and then it doesn't work out. Like it is hard. As I said earlier, there was one store that listed as over 142 stores. And it was tough to go collect some of the stock because it had expired, right? And having to collect, spend your own money, going to collect each store because you're getting a store from people you've never heard of, right? We did DC, so distribution center, you deliver to the one head office and then they deliver to all the stores. And so now you're getting a branch, you've never even heard of the place where that town is. You're like, you have to go collect. You're like, where is this place? But they have had your product. And now your product is sitting there and it's like, it's not moved. And then you find out all the other costs that you didn't know that you actually had. And hence, I suppose, starting Route 23 was that, like, I don't want founders to experience just the difficulty of not knowing, like get into it knowing so that you calculate the cost and then get into it, create jobs, create great products. Because that's what I want. I want people to create jobs. I want people to create great African brands that could sit on the shelves. But like, we want to be with you and say, hey, be a wise builder. Let's calculate the cost before we actually build so that we are wise and we are calculating as we do that. But it's also one of the things that we have to acknowledge. And this is one of the things that I think it's an oversight for many of us, is that South Africa market structure in particular, it's an oligopoly. And so there are few players. It's not just in FMCG, but in banking, in insurance, etc. It's a few players. It's capital intense. And so you find that the big players are occupying 80% of the shelf space on retail, 80%, or maybe even 60%. And then the rest is occupied by in-house brands, right? You see companies like brands have their own brands inside. Then you have to scramble for that 10% of small businesses. And now that space is tiny, right? Because it's costly to be there. You need to raise capital, you need to find the right partners, and be very geared for that channel. So it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about.
Wow. So I want to get into Route 23 and how you have been able to grow for you and your business partner, getting your products into retail, and then deciding that, you know what, I've learned a lot. I've scraped my knees. I I've paid so much school fees, and then deciding that let me help others who are going on the same route. What inspired you to do that? And can you tell us about the work that you do with Route 23?
Sure. So I started the business in 2016, right? Local Village Foods in 2016, co-founded it and so founded it initially. And then in 2022, I think it got really, really tough. Like I suppose, like any entrepreneur, it just got tough. We thought, look, I think, to partner, to collaborate. And my business partner for Local Village Foods was going through the same thing. She was one of my suppliers before. She was going through the same things, and we said, why don't we just merge? Let's create one company into Local Village Africa. And we had multiple brands, and we sort of increased and grew from that point. And then it came to a time. I mean, for me, I was approaching 10 years, and this is probably, it's also leveraging on my own sort of skill set. I believe I'm a builder in that sense. So in terms of like, I'm a bricklayer, and I love building. I love ideating and building stuff from ground up. And I got to a point where I realized, look, I think I've done what I needed to do. And I think the knowledge these past 10 years have gained. And so as the momentum was building through the time, like, what is it that I can do? What does the next season look like? And I just remember just the anger I felt to think, when I was building my brand, how difficult it was. Like, I didn't know stuff. Like, you had to ask people for favors. Like, and it's difficult to go to a fellow entrepreneur who's in the same category, because probably the people, it's another honey or a bee or another chili sauce supplier. They're not going to tell you potentially where their boxes are.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I believe in that. Like, don't tell me, because if you do that in your big corporate, the competition commission sues you because you're not competing.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we think, oh yeah, we must share, but we don't realize what is that legality. Because if you grow with that behavior, then it means like you're not competing. Then it means the customer will not get the best value. So who's losing? It's basically your customer. So sometimes it's important to think about stuff. So your competitors are not going to tell you where they get their products, where they get their sourcing from, etc. And how do you get around this? And they're also just hard at work. They're trying to get their brands. They need to survive. And so you're sitting there, you're thinking, okay, what do I do? And the school fees, like the money you will lose along the way because you don't know, it is expensive. Like, not knowing is expensive. And so
It can take you out. It takes a lot of people out.
No, it does. It does. And we just thought, you know what? I think the best thing is to create a platform where we can educate and walk alongside people who are building. There are people who are really, I mean, I had a lot of people just approaching me, especially towards like my 9-year, 10 years, hey, Spa, what do I do here? And I just thought, okay, no, let me make this actually formalized. And so to be able to support fellow entrepreneurs to say, but this is the best sort of channel. And then I moved away as an executive for my FMCG company to go into a non-executive and sort of help support from as a cheerleader and somebody supporting on the sidelines, and just focus on how do I create something that can help other people to be able to make wise decisions and save money. Ultimately, for me, as I said earlier, so ultimately, I come from the rurals, and most people, I suppose, will come from rural. You move into the city, and we see the unemployment that sits. We see the resources, natural resources that are there in communities that are not being tapped. Into people are not exploring those opportunities, be it land or farming or creating some product and then taking it eventually to the shelf. Like, there's a lot of opportunities that could be solved by people who are creating products. So if somebody is saying, look, I want to create a chili sauce, can I walk alongside you to create that chili sauce, so that chili sauce can source from communities and create jobs there, so that your product is a product that is an African product that sits on the shelf, that we can say this is a proudly African product. It's sitting on the shelf, that it's not an import from Europe, but it's something that comes from our continent, and it's on the market. And I can have pride as a shopper, but for me as a person who's an African, can sit back and say, look, we have reduced unemployment because Kopano Nyaki have started products, and in their factories, they've created different things. They've employed 10, 15 people to be able to, and they're making a difference in the economy. So we need people to build brands, be innovative, but save money as they do that and make wise decisions. But we want them to build, because creating a brand is not just for you. It's not just for you to say, oh, I've got this beautiful product. It's cute. Oh, it's lovely. And it's there. But it's who else benefits, like the people, the jobs you can create, the communities that you will source from. like the economy benefits from you actually daring to create a product. And so for me, I want to walk alongside you and remind you and show you the path and show you some of the tricks that we've done, some of the things that I'm like, oh, this is a pitfall, this is a win, and this is how we can help you get to the market in a safe way.
Amazing. So we have a question here from Lebo. How does the barcoding requirement work? I'm just gonna plug it on here so we can all see it. How does the barcoding requirement work for the different retailers?
Sure. So you just need one sort of barcode. So, right, there's one company, only one company that does barcode. So you have to go to the Consumer Goods Council, GS1. That's the only way you can get your barcodes. People will sell barcodes. Yes, you might get those barcodes, sell them online somewhere. And then one day you're exporting, then that barcode, somebody says, no, but this belongs to a company in Mexico. It doesn't belong to you. And you've already printed millions and millions, and your product is waiting to be shipped into the US or wherever. And then you can't, because that barcode, you took it off and it's recognized. So if you're wanting barcodes, go to Consumer GS1, and that's the only place. And from GS1, they'll give you, so you get a product barcode, and then you get a case barcode. So for example, for example, let's say I've got 1 unit of, I don't know, chewing gum. I must actually start eating chewing gum, but I have one chewing gum here, and then I've got 12 of my chewing gums in a box, right? So when I'm selling it to a retailer, I sell it in a box. So this one chewing gum has a barcode. The box for the 12 chewing gums have its own barcode, and maybe 100 of my chewing gum in a certain box. So they give you 3, say 4, 6 different barcodes based on the sizes. So when the retailer actually, when it's delivered at the back in the DC, they scan this one. Once they've scanned this, it goes on the shelf. They take all these individual gums, they put them on the shelf, then they scan that one product that has one individual. So you've got your case and you've got your individual. So that's really how it works. So where you get it, it's important, GS1. From GS1, you then sort of design and get your barcode designed. They will support you with all the things you need there. Yeah.
Right. My final question for you in this conversation, we also have someone who, Mole is there saying, been a minute, but this is so good. We also I saw somebody's joining us from Rustenburg. I saw another person from Ritz, Nomsats from Ritz as well, joining us. And Ipileng also joining us from Instagram. We have a few people joining us from Facebook. Bakang is the one who's from Rustenburg. We have Shoni saying, great conversation, joining us from LinkedIn as well. This seems tough, but it also seems rewarding. What kept you going? Why did you not just quit? Like, why didn't you just say, you know what? No, I'm not doing this.
Like, what's the alternative? Like, what is the alternative? I think, when you're building or you're an entrepreneur, and perhaps that's why people say, sometimes entrepreneurs are a little bit, sometimes it doesn't add up. But I have, like, you keep going. And so, but for me, one of the things, I had months where I would cry and cry and cry, like any other point, whether you're in brands or in service or you're in product, doesn't matter. Just the hardship of it all, of business. Like, I would say, I used to say, especially in markets or in store, it's like you're putting out a bone and the dogs pass, they don't even sniff. Like, it's like if they sniffed, at least I'll have hope. Like, they just pass. Like, imagine putting out a bone and a dog doesn't. It's so heartbreaking. And so sometimes you'll have it, like, there's no sniffing around, but it is tough. Like, I would cry and cry. But then I would see, I'll get on my knees over and over and over, and you keep seeing. I kid you not, like in the past, almost 10 years, like, so, because I had my first employee was year 1, but like maybe month 6 or something. Not 1 month. And I say this where I say, like, we've not missed payroll. That grace I might not have gotten paid. I would have probably have been hungry, but like my people. Like that part for me, sometimes you can forget, because we forget, right? You're like, oh, this month is tough. And then you forget, like, the breakthrough did come last month. And sometimes we do remember, and that remembrance often keeps us going. But also community. Community is one of the most important things. So fellow entrepreneurs, you're like, ah, man, it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you just sit there, you're like, but why? And often people sometimes
Why am I putting myself through this?
Exactly. It's like, why? I don't know how many times I've quit. Like, I'm quitting now. This is
Like
it.
mentally
I'm
quit. Like
done.
every day, you mentally. Nyaki and I do that all the time. Nyaki and I will just get on the phone and be like, "As quit, dog. Let's just quit. Let's go sell chickens." And come
Exactly.
end of day, we push through.
Yeah. No, it is hard, but you just have to keep going. You have to keep going. I think that's where the part, because you don't often know where the breakthrough comes. And this is somebody also used to tell me, like, sometimes you don't fall onto the fallacy of, we spend so much, we spend, I can't quit now. It's also wise to know when to quit, because sometimes that is a requirement. When it just doesn't work out, you've been doing it for some time, you're like, I don't have runway, etc. But then it's like somebody who's a gambler, right? If you're gambling, you just keep thinking, yeah, maybe tonight, maybe tonight. But it's like 7 years, you've not made it big through the gambling. Like, so you just need to know, look, no, this is what I've spent, this is what I've invested, but it's not working out. So that's also important. But sometimes you just have to be stupid enough to believe that something will give,
Something's
and
gonna
a
give.
breakthrough. Yeah, and sometimes it does it just comes, like you get a listing in year 8 that you were not expecting,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. Nyaki's typing. I quit today. Today I've already quit. All of us. We've quit today. I quit in the morning, and then I quit like at least lunchtime. By lunch, I've quit. There's been a
yeah, don't
quitting.
quit when, if you've seen, when you, like, I don't know if fellow entrepreneurs on this platform on Club Cheese, like the community, if, for example, because I find, like, we peer mess, right? And then I find that there's an entrepreneur peer mess. This is what I call it. I'm like, okay, there's a standard peer messing, and then there's an entrepreneur peer messing. Like, don't come tell me you didn't make it to work on the day I'm paying the salaries, because I have struggled to get these salaries, and here it is. And then you tell me, I can't come to work, or whatever stupid excuse. And then the emotions come, eh?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that also can, like, I can't do this, like I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and then so please, we don't need people to quit, we need them to keep going.
Keep going. I think the most profound thing, it was my husband's mom. So funny enough, Club just started as a suit tailoring business. And then every single time I met someone, they wanted coaching. And I was just like, I don't understand. But anyway. And she ordered a like tailored blazer. And she said, sometimes all you have to do is stick around. And that hit me. So it was so simple. Like, and it just rolled off her tongue. I was like, yeah, sometimes all you have to do is just stick
Yeah.
around. Like, as
Yeah.
long as you make sure that you're still playing in the game, at some point, it's just got to give.
Yeah.
It's just got to
Yeah.
give.
And sometimes it's that, hey, that pivot. So that chili sauce is not moving. Okay, I'm gonna do chunky acha. Like, maybe the customer
Hey,
wants that, and to be open to, like, okay, I'm dressing women in this. I'm doing blazers. Okay, maybe coaching, maybe this,
yeah.
and to be open to that and have the flexibility. But the worst thing that an entrepreneur could do, ever do, is to give up. Not just because changing, pivoting is not giving up. It's just saying, look, this is not working. Let me find something else quickly while I still have some runway to quickly change. But the moment you just fold your arms and say, I can't do this, and you just give up, it is difficult to pick yourself up and get up. You have to keep going. So I think we keep going until we know more in this world, right? You just keep going. You keep going.
Yeah.
Rest, sure, rest along the way, but just keep going. Keep going. But don't ever get to a point where you're like, I have given up what hope looks like. I've given up, and you throw in the towel. I think that's a waste. It's a waste of a talent. It's a waste of somebody who has the gift of creating and being able to put whatever they're doing out there, and then they say, look, I can't do it. Because when you do that, it means if you were going to impact 10, 15 people, 10 families, because you would have been innovative, created a product, created jobs, people would have been able to put bread on the table. You have basically taken that opportunity away from those people because you
Wow.
said, I can't do this anymore.
Wow. There's so much connected to your yes. That is going to sit with me. That, I mean, this whole conversation, I think I admire how you have pushed. I admire how you are also hungry to learn and discover and like get down to the answer and push through. I think you've inspired a lot of people on this conversation, because it's so good to hear from someone. We always have this image of like a big fat white man on a big chair somewhere who's the person who supplies to 100 and something stores. You know what I mean? And to see a person who looks like us be able to talk about supplying at that scale and to have understanding and to hear excellence just pouring out of your mouth. We really appreciate it. I thank you for pouring into us today with your story and your experience, but also not just only succeeding in your business, but deciding to start another one to help others to do the same and to take the school fees that you have learned and to help somebody cut that learning curve and cut the cost, because that cost doesn't just come in money, it comes in energy, time, it comes in so many things that are intangible, but also they are non-renewable. So I'm going to welcome Nyaki back onto the stage. Woo! Nyaki! How amazing is she? Like, how do you have a friend like this? Like, how do you just have friends like
All my friends are like this, Kopano. This is the standard. This is the standard of friendship. I realize that I can't talk. This is what's happening every time I speak. My voice, I'm doing thumbs up, okay? I realize that I'm not speaking to anyone. I've been texting you the whole time, so I'm like, why am I coughing all of a sudden? It's because I'm speaking. But yes.
Yeah, no.
Very,
Please
very
take the
excellent.
weekend.
Very excellent.
Very excellent. Please take the time to heal this weekend. But Sipamandla, we appreciate you. Thank you for pouring into us. And we will be sharing all the details about Route 23 as well for everybody who is wanting to learn that process for themselves and also open and expand your mind, because today we learned so much that retail is so much bigger than what we think it is. And there are so many other options, not just retail as well. I think you've schooled us on a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of research being done after today. But thank you to everybody who has come through. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Share it with a friend that you know. It's like, hey, for me, hey, you're mixing there in the pots. This is something that you have to watch, because with Lunch and Learn, we want to not only expand your mind, but also help you to dig in and to stay in the game, stay in the ring, stay fighting, and your business will continue to grow. So thank you to everybody who's joined us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube. Thank you to, Batu is here. Hi, Batu. Yep, you got to know when to bow out and regroup. Value chain assessment is gold in FMCG. Batu also had a fresh produce business as well. Mpo saying beautiful conversation, very informative, absolutely amazing. And thank you to everybody else who is joining us. Shoni is also saying that Tech School is a platform where you can build community so you can manage your IP. Nice. Thank you so much to everybody. Have an absolutely amazing afternoon. Thank you for joining us for lunch. And we will see you next week.